recording.
We're the liberal moms of
This is our first podcast, so obviously we're gonna have a little rough bumps, but that's okay. Hello, everybody. We're three moms in a pod, and we're starting a podcast because we started a liberal moms group in Abilene. Just here to just talk about politics and motherhood and the community. And
so we're gonna start out by just introducing ourselves, and so I'm gonna go first. My name is Diana. I am a mom. I have two kids. I have two little girls that are about to be 7, and I have one that just turned 4. And I met Justina because we were both in the Yang Gang during the primary, and I thought just because this is our first podcast, I had to represent the math gang.
So my name is Justina. I am a mom to a 2-year-old Casper, wife to Justin and Justina. We've heard all the jokes.
I'm married too. I didn't mean to exclude my husband. I love him.
I am currently working towards my doctorate at Texas Tech University. I'm an intern at Abilene ISD for school psychology, and hopefully I'll be done by December, January, and they're keeping me on as when I get licensed. So that's what I do for a living. I'm liberal, and yeah.
Well, I'm Anna Kate, and I have 3 kiddos. My daughter is about to be 10. I have a son that is 8, and then my youngest, I have another little boy that's 3. My husband and I have been married for 10 years, and yeah, I met Justina actually through my husband. I think y'all went to some of his shows and watched him play.
Yeah, I remember I posted that I was a registered voter deputy.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to meet my wife. And so like we just added each other, and then I invited you into the group, and then you were just super active. I'm like, she needs to be a admin with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, I remember for like the first couple of weeks, month, we were like, it was just like a really small group, and we're like, well, this just might be all of us here in Abilene.
Yeah, just kind of exploded. I mean, it was so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Just all at once.
I was trying to, being the math person, I was trying to go through and actually calculate our growth like exponentially, like how fast it's growing, and it grew so fast that I think I calculated it was like 200% in like literally months.
As of today, which is what's today, November 8th, we have 339 members.
Oh wow, last time I checked it was 310. Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Who knew that there were that many liberals in Abilene?
I think the group was a much needed refuge for a lot of us, you know.
Right. And if there's anybody watching this that isn't from Abilene, we're in a town west of DFW, which is about 3.5 hours of Dallas-Fort Worth. And it is actually the most solidly Trump county in the entire United States in 2016 by population. We were actually the most solid Trump county in the entire country.
Wasn't Abilene, Texas in the Guinness Book of World Records for most churches?
I don't know if we still are holding the record, but we were at one point, yeah.
Yeah.
So very conservative Christian, very white, honestly. I mean, by the numbers. Just a very, what you would think Trump country looks like. Yeah.
I took my sign off our lawn yesterday, just in case. I don't want to be a target.
Yeah, the people that are in our group that live in my neighborhood took their signs down too. But so did the Trump people. So it was nice to drive down the street and not have to see the Trump signs.
Yeah.
To recap back to actual election night. So going into election night, there was a lot of like news people and stuff saying that like by that evening they're feeling really discouraged and like went to bed just like thinking that Trump was going to be reelected. Did either one of you guys get that sense, or you're like, no, we got this?
You know, like reading Twitter and reading all the people that, do that, study elections for a living, and, they all seemed pretty hopeful, so I was trying to hang on to it, but I seriously had PTSD from 2016.
And I really didn't get spooked until that next morning when I saw Andrew Yang on CNN, and he looked like
Worried.
yes, he looked worried. Like he looked like he hadn't slept all night. And I was like, oh, Andrew, that does not look good for me.
I was kind of going back and forth because I do follow Andrew Yang too, and like I trust him as the math person. So I was just like, I know it's possible again because it happened in 2016, but it's just everybody is saying that like no, there's no possible way. So it was kind of half and half for me. I was like, I wasn't gonna be surprised if he got reelected, but I was just mostly leaning towards no, like I don't think he's going to be. So it was a half and half. I was preparing for the worst. I didn't want to set myself up for disappointment again.
If Joe would have lost, I would have just like been like, I don't want to do this podcast. I'm just gonna lay in bed for the next week. No, but yeah, I would have been super disappointed.
I mean, everything that they said was going to happen. They all talked about this red mirage, and it was gonna, and that's what's so ironic about the whole thing was, so they called Florida, right? And right after that, wasn't much longer after that, that Fox called Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And
the first one.
Yeah, and that totally screwed up Trump's plan. That totally, and just how ironic it was that it was Fox that called it. Because if they hadn't, I mean, I think we still would have won, but he was going to claim victory and get ready to take all this to the courts. And I mean, he's still going to try. We know that, but
yeah, I'm interested what's going to happen tomorrow.
Well, most of the lawsuits have already been dismissed. I know the very first ones that he started to file, they've already been dismissed. So mostly because in order to claim election fraud, you have to have a consistent narrative, like it was all voter suppression or it was all illegal ballots, but he's claiming different things in different states. So
the razor claiming that there's voter fraud in this state, but what about the states that you won? Absolutely no voter fraud.
Right.
I think these people that are calling fraud, they really need, I wish that they would really research how secure our voting is. I mean, it's absolutely, it's sacred to our democracy. It's sacred to this country. And I mean,
what do you think of mail-in ballot is? It's not like you just pick one up at the post office. You can pick 4 of them up and mail them in with your name on it. That's not how that works. It's not like a raffle. They can just stick as many in there as you want. Like you have
to legitimately think that.
Huh?
I think a lot of them legitimately think that.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, that's not, you could, but they're only going to count one. Like.
So, for instance, a judge, this was in one of the court cases that Trump's campaign filed. The judge, I loved this. The judge asked the campaign lawyer if GOP observers were in the room or not. And the lawyer said, there is a non-zero number of them in the room. So of course the judge lost patience and he said, are people repping Donald J. Trump for president in that room? And the lawyer said, yes. And the judge said, then what's the problem? But I mean, for this lawyer to go to a judge and say it was a non-zero number, like what?
Oh, yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what they were trying to call in Pennsylvania. And they were saying that because they tried to send in more of their people, and people were showing up saying that they were official electors or poll watchers, and they weren't. And so what started, and then on Twitter and on Facebook, they started that we need to have people watching the polls. So just caring citizens showed up in Pennsylvania. So they had to lock the shit down because so many people were trying to go in there and actually interfere with the counting, with the fair counting of the ballots. And they kept threatening the poll workers that were there that are bipartisan people. Some of them were there that were Republicans, some of them were Democrats. independents, they're all, it's just like here, you register to be an elector, and it's like a interviewing for a job, you know, not, you know, it's a paid position, and it is not a partisan position. They're just people that live in that community, and their lives were being threatened. And then there was a bomb threat, and they had to evacuate the building. And yeah, it just got, in Philadelphia, it just got crazy. It just got insane.
I think Taylor County did a good job. I think very first day of early voting was a little chaotic. I don't know if it was because there was just, they weren't planning on that many people voting that day. I don't know, but after that it was fine. I think the very first day of early voting was just kind of, you know.
That's why I didn't get the narrative of like, everybody was saying, oh, well, Trump voters vote on election day, and that the early voting isn't going to count as much as the in-person voting. Because when what I saw on the first day of early voting here, it was Trumpers from start to finish.
They did. And of course, I do wish that they would make that the state of Texas would make voter registration easier. I mean, it's the most difficult state to register in. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous that you can't register online. I think they have changed that just recently, though, that when you renew your license, you can do it online. I'd have to look at it.
Registering to vote is just a weird concept to me, honestly. Like, we should just, everybody, if you're 18 and above, be registered to vote. And I think they do this in Australia, is if you don't vote, you get like a $50 fine.
Yeah.
I feel like that would motivate a lot of people to go and vote.
Yeah, I agree.
And like $50 fine is not like, you know, terrible if
you
don't go and vote, but it would motivate me to go vote because I don't want to pay $50.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you guys think the next voting climate is going to be like? We have another election in 2 years for a new governor. Do you think that, I mean, this year, obviously there was a huge voter turnout because of the people running. Mostly it was one of the things I would like to use this platform for is that people don't vote in midterms and local elections. And really, that's the stuff that matters. If we're going to bitch and complain about the way Abilene is and the stuff that we don't like or blah, 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 like, you need to vote. You need to know who's running in city council elections. You need to know which ballot measures that the city is proposing, and you need to vote. I mean,
and I'm guilty of that too. I mean, I haven't voted in every single local election, but I'm going to start.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of discouraging sometimes to vote as a liberal leaning person in local elections because you're like,
there's no point.
Any of these people.
Yeah. I just feel like there's no point sometimes because Taylor County, what was it, 70% Trump?
70. Trump actually lost 10% this election.
But still.
Which, that's still a lot. That
is a lot, actually, now that I think about it. 10% is a lot. It's for one county.
That's the thing, that we had a little bit of something to do with that people felt like they weren't alone, and like maybe there's enough of us to like make a dent, you know? Yeah. I
also just kind of seeing Georgia flip blue kind of gives me some hope for Texas, because I mean, Texas is purple. I mean, just with the Beto and Ted Cruz election, and then this last election, like Texas was blue for like a whole minute. Like I took a screenshot. I'm like, oh, look, it's blue.
Texas is on its way to flipping. It really is. And I think the key to that is just voter education and getting candidates like Beto that energize and get everybody excited to vote.
I agree.
You know?
I think part of the problem with Democrats is messaging. I think sometimes we let our virtue get ahead of, like, it's still politics. You know what I mean? I feel like conservatives are really good at even like just naming their policies, even if they're like the most atrocious, like human rights gutting policies. They'll name it something like the Patriot Act or the Freedom for All Act, or something like that. And even though it's the exact opposite, people are like, yeah, who's against patriotism? Who's against freedom? You must be a whole bunch of like commie socialists. You need to get out of here. Just like, that's not it at all. But like, but the Democrats will be like, we need to hire social workers for the police. Let's abolish the police. And I'm like, no, don't.
Mhm.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Democrats want to defund the police. They want to get rid of the police. It's like, that's not what we meant. That's not.
Mhm.
I think a lot of times Democrats just have a messaging problem.
I agree.
And if we could just work on that, realizing how we come across to other people, I think, especially in the South, people don't want to be condescended to.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes they think that we're just like the moral police. We're just we're everywhere just watching what you're going to say, and then we're going to beat you over the head and cancel you. And in the South, especially like older people in the South, they want to be like, I've been around since blah blah blah, you don't need to tell me how to live my life.
Yeah, I think it's the messaging, and I think it's also, I think Democrats really need to work on educating people, because
Yeah.
we're getting called socialists and all that. Well, let's educate people on what socialism is. What's the difference between socialism and democratic socialism, And I think that's part of it too, is people just don't know, and they're not going to research. I mean, people are just not going to take the time to research themselves. They're just not going to.
Well, they will, but then they'll also go to, a YouTube video that explains it incorrectly.
Yeah.
The Beto with guns thing.
Yeah, he's gonna come to your house and take your guns.
Yeah. It's just,
I remember there was a Twitter thread after that, and they're like, liberals going out to buy guns, so Beto shows up at their house.
And then that's the only thing, like if I was running a campaign afterwards, I'm like, Beto, you need to walk this back just a little bit, because I know people within even our group were just like, I love Beto, but he really needs to like think about his stance on guns. This is still Texas, and and just it's even if it was in the light of a tragedy in his hometown. I mean, I was like, you can't see the nuance of the situation. Like, people just got mowed down in a Walmart in El Paso. Like, yeah, he wants to get rid of all guns because people just got mowed down in a Walmart in El Paso. Like, wouldn't you just say something out of emotion like that? I mean, yeah, just.
But circling back to, I just wanted to say this because I was watching that Netflix documentary about social media. I forgot what it was called.
The Social Dilemma.
Yeah, I just remember them saying that misinformation on Twitter spreads 4 times faster than the truth.
Yes.
And that is just so real right now.
Yeah. And negativity actually also spreads faster. So if you like hate speech spreads faster on social media than positivity. And my sister and I were talking not too long ago, and I was just like, it's just really, somebody asked me like, what's, up to this point of your life, like what's the one piece of advice that you would give to people, or one lesson that you've learned? And I was like, really, for me, it's just to like live. I was like, it sounds cheesy, but just to like live, love, and personify love, and just send love out. I was like, I just want to be that loving, safe place for people. I was like, I've always wanted my home to be that, and I always want my children to feel that. And it's hard in this day and age to like, it really does feel like you're constantly having to push back darkness with love, and it's hard.
I agree. Yeah,
it is. I mean, even my mom's told me several times that this is just a really, really, really hard time to be raising kids in, I mean, with the internet and all of, just the divisiveness going around, and it's just tough. But,
it's tough because I've said this a few times, and I might even get emotional, but like the Trump presidency has brought out the worst in a lot of people. It's brought out the worst in me too. Like,
Yeah.
I have had so much hatred in my heart that I don't like being this way. Like, I hate it, but it sucks, man. And I'm trying to get better, and I'm hoping that we're going forward right now.
Yeah, did you guys feel that like roller coaster of emotions when Biden won? Like I had that whole like victory moment, and then like I had just like bawling tears of just like literally like I was in my kitchen and I was listening to I'm Not Ready to Make Nice by the Dixie Chicks because somebody in our group had posted it, and I started listening to the song and I just started bawling. And like my sister's like, why are you crying? I was like, I'm crying because 40,000 people in Puerto Rico died. I'm crying because 200,000 people plus died of COVID. I'm dying because we locked children in cages and separated them from their parents, and they still haven't been found. I was like, and it took all of that, and that 69 or 70,000 people still voted for this man. I was like, and we just barely won. And I feel like I can breathe again. Like, that's why I'm crying. And like, it was very much like a bittersweet moment. Like that, the fact that it was that close was very sombering to me.
That's just what also bothers me too. Like, he won. What's the popular vote now? Like 4 million. He won by 4 million. Something
Yeah, I
like
think,
that.
yeah,
It should be way
Yeah.
more than that, dude. It should be.
it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody on my feed posted earlier, Donald Trump won more votes or got more votes than Barack Obama did. And I was like, Joe Biden got more votes than any president-elect in history. He was like, I was just stating a fact. And I was like, so was I.
I mean, yeah, it was close, but at the same time, I'm really proud. I'm proud of America because this was the most widespread voter suppression.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be of any election ever, and so I'm proud of us.
Too. And out of it came this group. I actually, and I'm going to get probably emotional again. I woke up this morning knowing that we're going to do this today, and I had a whole bunch of things to do today. But like my waking thought was, I remember whenever I first had Elena, and you start reading all these mom blogs because you're a new parent and you don't know anything, and you realize once you bring that baby home, oh shit, I don't know anything, and I'm one of those people that just like researches everything, try to gobble up every article and book, everything that I can. And everybody's like, you got to really rely on your village. It takes a village to raise a child, blah, blah, blah. And I never felt more lonely than at that moment, because motherhood is so isolating. Really is. And I remember for a long time that I felt villageless. I didn't trust people that ideologically really did just think so different of me. I didn't want them to be like huge voices in my children's lives or anything like that. I mean, we have our family, but sometimes you just need somebody that's kind of in the same boat as you to go through. And I woke up this morning and I was like, I really feel like I finally found my village. And I don't know if that would have happened if this group would have never been created.
I agree.
You're gonna make me cry. Nicole, she's in our group, and I invited her. She was one of the first moms that I invited because, I don't know a lot of liberal moms. And I remember posting like a meme where I was like half joking, but half like crying out for help whenever I was a new mom. And it was like when postpartum depression hits you, seasonal depression, and like regular depression hits you. And I remember we didn't really know each other that well, but she messaged me and she was like, hey, like, if you need anything, if you want to take a hot shower and you want me to watch your baby, she's like, I got you. Like, I'll come over and I'll help you. And I was just like she has no idea how much that meant to me, because I was so alone.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things that surprised me the most about motherhood was just how isolating it was. And you have all these things running through your head and fears and just overwhelmed. And I mean, I had like my mom that I could talk to, but she's my mom, but she hasn't been a baby's mom in a long time. And you know, it's just not the same. And like, yeah, I just didn't feel like I had, I mean, my husband, you know, it's just not the same when you just want another like mom that's going through the same thing as you are.
Absolutely.
It is, and it's especially isolating now. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Lots of us are, our kids are doing remote learning, so we're at home all day, you know, and
Mhm.
it's just overwhelming, and you got to have a break. And, you know, a lot of us aren't necessarily getting that break because you can't go anywhere, you know,
Our
and
break is like the bathroom.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's not even a joke. Like, I'll lock my bathroom. Like, out of here. Stop knocking on the door.
Yes, exactly. So it's a tough time. And I think, yeah, this group, it just came at the right time.
But you guys
When
also
everyone-
just make me feel less crazy because, you know, I see other people posting like going out and taking family trips in the middle of a global pandemic. And it's
Right.
and then I'm just like, am I crazy? Am I taking this too seriously? But then like I come back to you guys and I'm just like, no. We are in a global pandemic.
Am I the only
fine.
one still ordering my groceries and not letting my kids go out in public? I mean, the splash pads
Yeah.
are full. Like,
Casper really hasn't been to the store, or he just goes to my parents whenever we're both working and home. Like I don't want him around other people right now. And
Right.
that's
took my kids to the store
strange.
today.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah. And like, they don't get out much. My kids, like, they, for the first like 2 months of the pandemic, they didn't go anywhere. They went home, they went to my house and to grandma's house.
Mhm.
And because those are like, that's like our circle. Like this, we just see us and grandma just sees us. Like, that's it.
Yeah, it's a tough time, but I will say, like, my kids, I'm really proud of them. They're just so resilient, and they've handled it so well. And you know, you get on Facebook and you read, oh my, you know, my kids are, you know, they miss their school and they miss the social interaction, and they're just depressed all the time. And I'm sure that they are, but I think a lot of it is your kids are going to feed off of you, you know,
Yeah.
and that's why I think it's so important. Yeah, we need to, you know, be cautious, and we can grieve for, you know, the 240,000 plus people that have died. But I think that we also need to teach our kids, you know, that we can make the best out of a situation and that it's okay. And, you know, this is going to bring us closer together, and we just find new ways to connect and, you know.
So what are some of the fun things that you've done during COVID with your kids? Like, that you've like try to keep things interesting?
Oh my gosh. Well, Halloween, you know, we didn't go trick-or-treating. We
didn't.
stayed home, and we ordered pizza, and we just had our own party. We made cupcakes, and they got tons of candy from my parents, and we painted pumpkins, we carved pumpkins. I think we did every Halloween craft.
On Pinterest, just like, oh, did that one. Oh, I don't know if I have everything for that one. I'll order it off Amazon.
Thank God for Pinterest. I mean, you'll never run out of ideas for stuff to do. There's so much, and you know, thank goodness, because I think it's going to be like this, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So we're in it for the long haul, you know. And my kids are remote learning, and they go to Austin, and you know, I hate it for them because Austin has a brand new school, and you know, they're not going to go to school.
I went there the other day to test a student, and I was like, this is the nicest school I've ever been in. It is so nice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Mhm.
It's amazing. Also, for me, my son he's ADHD. He's not hyperactive. He's just the inattentive type. He's like, he's flourishing in remote learning, you know, so.
Mine's grades are way better than they were last year because we do take more time with her stuff. But my only problem has been that it takes so much time that we're doing about 6 to 8 hours of learning a day to be able to get through all of her curriculum. Yeah, it takes forever to get through her curriculum because the teachers who are doing we're on the family plan, they are told that they need to assign 4 to 6 hours of school a day because that's about how much school they get when they're in school.
I do want to say, like, I am not coming down on anybody who is not, who has their kids in school. I mean, I totally get it. It's not everybody can remote learn. You know, parents have to work, and you know, I you know, you just got to do what's best for your family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all you can do.
Yeah, my sister, who normally lives in New York, but she was furloughed basically right from the onset of the pandemic. She quarantined, and then she came here around June, and that's the only reason we've been able to successfully be able to dedicate the time for her to flourish, is because I do still work full time. I work from home, but I do still work full time, and my sister helps out with the remote learning, and between the two of us, we can get it done. I honestly do not know how somebody who works like a full 40-hour job can still do it and remain sane. I don't know, especially if you have a like younger school age kid, that you can't just like be like, okay, turn on the computer and do it. Like if you have to like walk them through it, because even like listening to her videos and stuff like that, she still needs additional instruction. It's not just, yeah, I don't know how people do it. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
So we're gonna have a segment where we read our favorite comments from local news station Facebook pages.
Mhm.
Or local Facebook pages that kind of made us laugh.
Yeah.
I'm
This
already
is a local news station in Abilene. I'm not going to say what it was, but the headline is Biden to unveil COVID-19 panel on Monday. So the comments said, he won't get the chance because the election will be overturned. If he does anything, he will take more than 48 years. Historically, he has no action. Prepare for lockdowns and further destruction of America. And then somebody said he wasn't for the people. It was all about money for him. Like, okay.
Oh,
And
Lord.
the last comment is, if he really wins the election, there won't be a need for a panel. COVID-19 will go away by itself because the Democrats won't have a need for it anymore. So.
Okay. Lord.
So that's
So
the town we live in.
Yes, I'm going to read this one exactly as it's written, okay? And just keep in mind, it's in all caps. So I'm glad you trust them. I'm glad you trust them. I don't and won't. It will be a socialistic world before you know it. And when you can't buy anything because it's not there, be sure and thank yourself for it, because those who voted for Biden, sorry.
Sounds about right.
And then there was one more. Guess you didn't see him pinch the little girl's titty on TV, did you? Wouldn't leave my daughter with him in public, much less in private, if I had a daughter.
Oh,
What is that video? I keep hearing conservatives talk about it, but I've never found it.
I haven't seen it there, and I don't want to, because it doesn't exist.
Oh my gosh.
Diana doesn't look
Okay.
at the comments because she says it gives her too much anxiety.
I don't, but I do still follow a certain person who has a media platform as a ministry and prides themselves as being a ministry and sends out a newsletter. And so I have been aggressively following his
Oh my God.
exponential decline since the Biden victory. And last post was 2 hours ago. Biggest fraud ever.
All right.
But it all started, and it all started with, there's fraud everywhere. Wake up, America. The communist spirit is waging war over our country right now to take over. The solution is, all caps, and a megaphone next to it. Pray boldly and speak the truth. And then breaking news, his own breaking news. There's no news actual tag to this. Breaking news. Facebook isn't on the fix. Posted to Facebook. Facebook isn't on the fix. Why else censor anything election related? Try Parlor.
I can't.
Oh my gosh. Bye.
Bye,
Please.
Felicia. Bye. But then, like, after that, posted, still scrolling. And this is to like their official business page. Still posted about 15 more things.
Oh Lord. Well, you know what? We survived Trump barely, but we
Barely.
did, and they're gonna survive Biden. So
I don't like that they feel the way that we did when Trump won. I hate that politics has become so divisive.
Mhm.
But in all fairness, like, it really wasn't our side that made it that way.
right.
This, and it's a reason that I actually really do love being a Democrat, is that we're not afraid to criticize our own party. And I think that that's something that has kind of been lost on the right. Like, if you can't criticize your leaders without feeling like you betrayed them, or without other people within your own party calling you a traitor, then
Mhm.
I mean, that's a cult. That's not a political party. You have to be able to, I mean, that's literally what the founding fathers fought for. We don't want a monarchy. We want to be able to, as a Democrat, yeah, Biden got elected, but now for us, that's when we need to get to work. It's time to hold our public officials' feet to the fire and make sure that the changes that we have been pushing for actually get made. I didn't just want Joe Biden to become president so he can say nice things on TV.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Now's the time to get to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Whew. Well, now I've resolved. I'm happy now. Haven't cried all day, other than the few tears that we shed here. But yeah. Bye.
Bye.